Hello, everybody. This is John Schultz here with a Facts or Cat podcast. This is our first episode. I'm here today with Jack Watson, Mason Gusty, and Jay Sirianarayan. Today we'll be going over APs and SATs.
Yeah, so we'll begin with the AP classes in general, like which ones to take, how many, and how that affects your college application. So, Jay, you want to shoot it off for us?
Alrighty. So the AP classes in general, I just feel you gotta take what you gotta have a good sense of what your future is gonna be, and when it comes to AP classes, too many is not good. You should, and if you're trying to go to a top college, you gotta be obviously taking rigorous courses and showing the admission officers that like you are testing yourself, and along with that, you are not only taking like it's also an accumulation of everything else that goes in with AP classes. Like if you're working, or if you're doing extracurriculars on top of that, you obviously don't want to overload yourself. I'd say strengths or weaknesses regarding some of these AP classes. Obviously, some of them like in the language department or English language department, you are focusing much more on reading and heavy amount of writing and involving essays on certain topics. Like with AP Lang, you're doing argumentative essays for the majority, and that's what your exam will be like with some multiple choice. But with like history, you're able to rely on much more different areas. Like if you're stronger with multiple choice, or if you're stronger with short answer responses than essays, it's not. You can do much better on those parts and still pass the exam.
Yeah, what Jay was saying about like knowing what you want to do in the future, I feel like that's really important when it comes to taking AP classes, because if, say, like me and John want to do something with business, so we found no value in taking AP Lang this year, so we just stuck to a regular honors class, and I feel like that is just incredibly important for the future, because you might just find yourself caught up in just taking AP classes just to get a credit for college, and you might just be wasting your time because you could just be focusing on something you really want to do outside of school, or instead you'll be doing homework for all those AP classes. It's really just consuming your life, and then you have to study for those exams, which you probably will have a hard time because you might not have the motivation or the willpower to do so, and you'll just find yourself in a jumble.
Yeah, kind of like adding on to that. For me, I found so for history, that was the only AP I took personally this year. So history is a class I love, so I was willing to take that rigorous course. I was willing to do it, and I was kind of aware of the basically the workload that would go along with it. However, with something say with like Spanish or Lang, especially this year, that's not really what I want to focus on. So I kind of weighted that in my consideration of if that was really worth it for me. And where those aren't necessarily my strong suits when it comes to academics, it's not wise for you to take a class that you're going to struggle in. Because if you're struggling in it all year, you're staying up late. In some cases, you're doing, say, like, behaviors you shouldn't, like, say, cheating on exams or whatever. You're not helping yourself. You're not benefiting yourself. And then when it comes to the AP exam, and you've cheated on your way through that class the whole year, you're not going to be prepared, and you're not going to get that credit. And the whole point of taking an AP test or an AP class is you want to do well in it so you get the credit and you can bring it onto your college or wherever you plan to go in the future. So I think as a student that's considering AP classes in which to take, you really have to weigh in what you want to do with the future and what you really struggle with and what you're very strong in when it comes to school.
Yeah, kind of add on to that. So I think when deciding on APs, it's good to think about both your strengths and weaknesses, but also about motivation in general. So obviously, like everyone says, figure out what you're good at, what you're not good at, but also figure out what's your passion. And maybe if you don't have that passion, what can you discover? What can you kind of explore to find that passion? So, say you don't really know what you're gonna do. You're undecided going to college, but you kind of enjoyed a history class, or maybe you enjoyed English, like writing essays or something like that, which not everyone is, but maybe you did. So, if you don't really know what you want to do, you can say, well, I enjoyed history last year. Maybe I can try that this year and dip my toes into it. And going through it, you can figure out, hey, well, this is really what I want to do. So you can figure out, well, I'm good at it. I can take this. And maybe you can keep fighting your way through the class. And then when it gets to the end, you do really well in your APs. Now, another way to go through it is if you have that passion, figure out kind of what classes can you take, what AP classes can you take to guide your way to college. So for me, personally, I know I want to be a doctor, so I'm heavily taking APs in sciences. So next year I'm going to be taking AP Bio, AP Chem, and maybe physics or something like that. So it's a lot of work, but it's that motivation, it's that passion is what I'm good at. I'm good at the sciences. So it's kind of balancing, yes, that heavy schedule, but it's also balancing what you like and what you want to do when you're growing up.
And another thing about APs is, before it, so say your sophomore, junior years, and even freshman year, you can take different electives that are they're more oriented, say, towards like business. So like for me, I've taken accounting 1, I'm in accounting 2 right now. I took personal finance. So those classes can really like help guide me and say, show me what, like, say for a career in the future, like I'd be interested in. And I think it's important to take advantage of those. And those, in some aspects, might be as important as taking an AP. Because you're in high school and you're already getting that valuable information on a field that you're interested in. So, I'm going to be honest, when it comes to APs, they're definitely important, but I don't think, at the end of the day, they're the most important thing. Like, knowledge in a specific field geared to what you want to take in college, I think will have more importance and more value than taking an AP.
Completely agree with you, and I think to kind of like go on to our next topic, which is like the exam itself. I'm personally having like an internal struggle, like figuring out if I even want to take the exam. With you, I'm being totally honest, because when you're thinking about like the classes, the exam is just one day. It's very similar to the SAT, where it's very circumstantial. You have this set of questions, this essay prompt. It's very like you could have excelled in the class, but it may not show up on the exam. And after talking to my guidance counselor, actually, I just found out that when it comes to getting your scores back, they don't come into account after. The reason why you get college credit for them, at least from my understanding, is when you get accepted to the school or schools and you add to your college admissions, because you already know you got in. And you want to add that college credit towards the classes that you will take. That's what it doesn't really so much affect what your grade in the class is what's affecting you getting into that school or not. It's not so much the exam itself. And take into account COVID-19 this year, at least at NK, we only have the course for a semester, and then we're left with just these seminars to basically help us in preparing us for the exam, which I don't really feel, at least with what we did in Spanish, it wasn't totally helpful. And in history, I think it may be a little bit helpful, like just refreshing on some topics that we weren't able to discuss too in-depthly. But like, I also don't want that personal like added stress on my life of focusing on that exam when there's so many more things I could be focusing on, like internships, college programs for summer, SAT, ACT, all these different other aspects that come more into account for the college admissions process, because it's a very holistic approach. That's what schools are doing. They account for everything now. And me personally, I'm still trying to figure out if I want to take the exam, because also like for people who have like financial difficulty, it's a lot of money, and you can get like not a sponsor, but like you can
So like a grant.
like a grant from the school,
school
to help
yeah.
to help finance it for you. But even still, in these circumstances with COVID-19, I don't know if I would really want that added stress on my life when I can be doing much more productive things. And so as of right now, there are 3 dates for the exams. There's May 6th, which is the regular written exam. May 19th, which is, I think it's a hybrid of both online
Yeah.
and on paper. And then June, I think it's
All
June,
online, I believe.
June is
right?
all
June
online.
5th is all online. And last thing for me is they're gonna be focused. It's gonna come down to your AP coordinator for your school or like your school district on what they decide. But when you're talking to because I think some AP teachers are talking to their students right now.
Not all of them though.
Absolutely.
They are asking the students like what you prefer, and they will relay that information to their coordinator just to really figure out what's best for the students.
Yeah, I feel like the date of the exam is incredible. It has a very big importance into everyone's end of the school year, because for me, I'm taking the SAT in June. So if the exam was moved back to June, I'd be in a bad situation for studying, because I'd have to dual study both of those at the same time. And the SAT is not exactly the easiest thing to prepare for. Neither is AP test, especially APUSH, because it's a lot to remember. And cramming it all into a little amount of time, like we started in February, and we're cramming all this information into a little amount of time. And just to then try and remember it through studying would be really hard, especially with the SAT on my mind. And talking about the seminars, actually, me and Jack went through a seminar for like a month-ish, I'd like to say.
Maybe like month and a half.
Month and a half, maybe, with Mr. Lindsay, our APUSH teacher. And the seminar was just him telling us to read and take notes, which we did, and then him just essentially going over the chapter. So it's not really like teaching. It's not what I would have liked it to be. So honestly, it won't be that much of a help unless you benefit from studying on your own. Like, some people might be very well off on their own, might be able to study incredibly well and be very well off for the test, but not everyone's like that. Some people have to be in the classroom setting to learn and be really focused. So the half year has made it a struggle for everyone.
Kind of with the seminar. So Jay and I, we took the class together. We had it first semester. So we are currently, we just started the seminar. So we had our first session last Thursday. And kind of like what Mason was saying, it's very like presentation, PowerPoint, notes oriented. So if you're able to learn that way, I think, and you're able to comprehend, say, a topic through that sort of teaching, it would definitely be beneficial. I would say the good thing about it is some of the assignments are taking notes on chapters. That forces you to read the chapter and take notes and kind of distinguish what's important. That's definitely a good part of it. But in the end, it kind of comes down to like what sort of teaching style you benefit from, because you're only meeting with that teacher once a week. So that's kind of a lot of material you have to try to remember and basically have ready in the back of your head by the time that test comes in May or June. And another thing with the test is whether you'd like to take it in person by hand or online on a computer. I don't know if you want to talk on that.
Yeah. So like we said, there's 3. They call them admins. So the first admin's the regular one that was in the beginning of May. Then they have one end of May and then June, beginning of June. So, but from what we know, the first one's just going to be in person and all writing. So personally, for me, I mean, there's some personal reasons, but I want to do the first one, just get it over with. Because first of all, I want to get over with. Second of all, because I like to write. I feel like when I'm in school and I'm writing down, I feel like I'm locked in and I'm taking a test how I normally have been for the last 14 years of my life. I feel like if I'm at home, say for the third admin, where I'm pretty sure I don't know if you can go in person. How do you guys know if it's in person?
They
at
took
home?
the camera, like you
For May
you
19th.
take it from home, and they at first were saying that they were gonna have a proctor system for like you have to take it on a computer with a camera.
Okay, but it's at home.
Yeah, but they took that away because they realized that some kids can't like buy cameras.
So is it in person?
No, the online.
Oh, so you're just at home.
Yeah.
Online is at home.
So anyway, so it's, I mean, if you think about it that way, there can be definitely ways to cheat and stuff. So I just don't like that. I just want to like be in there. Don't want to cheat. Just get it done. But and also I just feel like if I'm at home, I just feel less focused. I just want to be in person. So it's a matter of personally figuring out what you want. How good are you at test taking in person, at home, on paper, on a computer? I mean, obviously, if you're writing essays, it's much quicker typing. But I mean, you just got to balance your strengths and weaknesses with on paper and at home, with which admin I guess you want to take. I don't know if any of you guys have anything to add on to that.
Actually, about the typing thing. For most people, yeah, it would be quicker. It would be much faster typing. Say, like some people didn't take typing in middle school and they never learned to type, so writing might be more beneficial for them. But like people like me, or I'm not sure if you guys took it in middle school, but I took typing in middle school for 3 years. So typing would make the essay part really, or short answer part, so much quicker for me. But say for someone who didn't, they would be struggling, probably maybe not finishing, or they'd be like right at the time limit and finishing just then.
I find personally, like if I'm able to type it, that I can definitely type a lot quicker than I can write by hand. So in that regard, I think it would definitely be more beneficial. I think if I'm typing, or if I'm able to type fast, and I have my ideas flowing, say on the specific topic that I'm given, that will kind of help me from that sense. But yeah, I think it's just all personal preference on what style you like. Because obviously Jack was saying how he prefers the writing in person, but with Mason and I, where we have that keyboarding background, we're able to type, and we can do it in a timely manner that the at home would definitely be more beneficial for us.
Yeah, we're probably wrapping up with the AP stuff, but kind of continuing on to that college board theme with changes. I don't know if you guys heard. I mean, it's pretty well known, but so College Board took away SAT subject tests, and they also made the SAT essay optional after June, I believe, right?
So
Or they're gone after June. That's what it is.
They're officially gone after June, and after June there will also be some review or like revision for the test in general.
Okay.
It may even switch to at least like an adaptive test where I think it was similar to Park, like what we did in middle school,
Where
where
it gets easier.
or yeah, if you like mess up, you take on an easier question. If you're answering the correct answer, you would get progressively harder questions. But back to the essay itself, yeah, as of right now, you can still take it with the essay. It's optional in general to begin with, so you don't have to, but you can still sign up to take the essay up until June, and then it's going to be gone completely.
Like, what are the benefits? Like, if you're a student considering, will this push me above? Will this get me into the college? Is that something worth it when it comes to the essay?
I feel like it comes down to if you have a weakness regarding like a certain part of the essay itself, like SAT in general, whether it's like math or reading or grammar, but you want to like show that like you have an extra part of yourself that you excel in, say writing, you can just add that on. I think it's similar with the ACT.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to take over here, but just really quickly for the just figuring out if you want to take the essay or not. Yeah, I mean, if you've taken English classes throughout high school and you've really excelled in your essays and you've maybe taken AP English and as well, and you did really well in those essays because I mean, obviously AP English is very essay oriented, then I'd 1000% take this optional essay through June because then you're going to show colleges, even though it's optional, you're going to show them that you're an amazing writer. So if you think about it, if you have two students going for one college, you got the same exact GPAs, everything, extracurriculars and everything like that, but they have another piece of information on you. You took the essay and got almost a perfect score. This other kid did not take the essay, so they have no idea what his writing skills are. Well then, I mean, you can go back and forth, but most likely they'd take you. So it's just adding another piece to the puzzle of your application, in my opinion. So it's about weighing whether you're good at essays, whether you're not good at essays, and also just figuring out what schools you want to apply to and what really they're focused on.
Yeah, like Jack was saying, the value of the essay to each individual person, it's going to be different all around the board, because some schools actually do. Some schools still ask for the essay. I thought some do.
I don't think they can,
Oh, they can.
but
What?
it's
It's like all inclusive. Like if you're sending your best SAT score and it happens to like say that I said that you took the essay with that one, you send the essay as well.
Okay. So yeah, it differentiates, and I feel like taking away the essay almost levels out the playing field, because, like Jack was saying, like if you're really good at writing essays, yeah, it will make you look really well. But if you're not good at writing essays, I feel like it will only hurt you and give them a reason to not take you. So I feel like by getting rid of it, it almost levels it out to whoever the best is at multiple choice, and whoever can master the SAT normally.
yeah. So like personally, you're taking it in June, right? Are you planning to take the essay?
So actually, that's a funny story. I was gonna take it in March, and I was gonna do the essay, but then I talked to my brother, talked to some people, and I was like, I'm not good at writing. So I decided to reschedule, and I'm not gonna take the essay in June. I'm just taking the regular SAT, which I think will benefit me personally.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's worth so say you're a student good at English in terms of comprehension, say with grammar and reading, but you're not very good at essay writing, but you're good at math. So if you're good at the two major parts of it, like the two major English and math, say parts of the test, I think that's what you should probably focus on. Taking that essay might end up hurting you more than it will actually benefit you. So I think it kind of, like we've all been saying, it varies student to student. If you're someone that needs those extra points coming from the essay, I think it's well worth your time taking it. Again, it just matters what your strengths are, and kind of the balances and stuff like that you have to consider.
Yeah, so I mean, just on the SAT topic, we just go a quick little side note here. A lot of people wonder, how much should I study for the SAT? What score do I need and all that? And I mean, it's out there on the internet and stuff, but I mean, we're all going through the process right now, so we're all probably thinking of different colleges to go to. So I think it's just good to kind of go around and talk about really how much studying should go in, and what score really is necessary for what your needs are and what your wants for colleges are. So
I've actually been I've actually been looking into this a lot, concerning you see posted averages from schools, but really I think what's a more important thing to look at is scatter plots of kids' exam scores, and just to see, because the average they're giving you, it's people can be scoring lower, people can be scoring higher. It's just what they're averaging out to, and there are cases I think the average for I forget this one place, but I think it was a 1440, which is a good score. Getting in the 1400s, it's a very good score to have. That was what their average was, and when you compare that to a scatter plot, some kids were getting in the 1300s, which is not bad. My dad, he got a 13. He went to Stanford, but granted, this was 30 years ago. He got a 1350, and today it would definitely stagger you, or it would make it more a little bit more difficult for you. But luckily, during that time, it was a very good score to have. It just matters on don't get so caught up in this huge average score that you should be going for, because some schools it's ridiculous. It's over a 1500, and some kids there's just this natural ceiling you hit where you're taking practice test after practice test and you're just not improving past this certain point. That's it. Take your exam, get your best score, and then focus on other parts of your admissions that really help elevate you, because it's not the end of the world if you can't get past this certain point.
I think it's also worth noting, I'm pretty sure you're able to take another SAT. Obviously it costs money, but when you get your first one back, you can see which areas, say, you struggled in. say you're not a very good English student, you can see what parts of the English portion of the test you struggle in, and then you can prepare for the next one, focusing more on English, and then when you take that, assuming you improve, you can super score your two tests to get your best score possible. And that's what colleges actually take. They take your best score possible. So say you get like a 700 on the math the first time, don't improve the second time, but you're at a, say, 620 the first time you take English, and you improve to a 680. So now you take that 700 and a 680, and you super score to a 1380. That's looking a lot better than that 1320 you might have had previously. So I think it's really important you understand what you need to practice. You should focus and orient your studying to what you need to focus on. If you're a very strong math student, you shouldn't spend as much time on math. You should definitely review, make sure you sharpen your skills, but when it comes to the actual studying and what you should do, you should focus on what you struggle on, and that way you can improve that area.
Yeah, I mean, I really, really quickly. Now, I haven't taken an SAT. I took the PSAT, but I've been taking the ACT. I've been focusing more on that. And just going on exactly what John said there, I found out right away that reading on the ACT, which is different from the SAT, it's a lot quicker. But I found out right away that reading was my biggest weakness for the ACT. And the math and writing, actually, like the grammar part, I was really good at. And the science I was okay at. So what I did was I had about 2 months to prepare. I literally did like a reading practice every single day, and I did like maybe a math or an English like once a week. So I knew right away I wasn't going to do a full practice test every single day. I was going to do just a section of the reading, even if it was just one passage, every single day. And by the end, I haven't got my score back yet, but I felt good on the reading there. So it's just about, again, finding what your weakness is. If you're not good at math, but you're good at reading, well then don't practice the reading as much. Keep up with it a little bit, but then really heavily focus on that math, and then you'll end up with the best score you can.
Yeah, and about the SAT and all these somewhat standardized tests, it's about mastering the SAT. It's not about necessarily knowing grammar front and back. It's about knowing what grammar is on the SAT. So it all comes down to how are you studying? Are you studying using Khan Academy? Because that's actually a great tool and a great online tool. And you can go buy books at like Barnes & Noble, say, and you can go find study guides online as well. It all comes down to how are you studying? Are you prepping to become great at the SAT, or are you prepping to become great at grammar, math? Because if you're looking to become incredibly smart in grammar and science, and the SAT you just happen to get a great score, good for you. But if you're trying to master the SAT, you should, before you start studying, you should look up how to study. I feel like that's so important.
Okay, I think that's probably a pretty good wrap up to that section. This is kind of just like a small topic, but I was wondering with you guys, how has, say, taking AP classes, studying for these standardized testing, how has it affected your out-of-school extracurriculars, whether it be sports, jobs, or whatever you might do, working out?
I'd say the biggest thing is because we can't meet during school hours, everything's just being pushed to the afternoon. Almost every single day I have some meeting, sometimes 2 a day, whether it's a club or just AP seminar. And then on top of that, I used to work out in the morning, like before school, which I didn't mind at all, but I recently switched to working on the afternoon just because I started to prefer it a little bit more. And it's been increasingly difficult just to be able to schedule everything. Like my afternoons are like filled to the brim with just meetings with all these different people. And on top of that, now I'm actually talking with a couple of teachers about possibly starting like a psychology class or a psychology club, because it's such a popular school subject. Not everyone's able to take it. Like I love this subject, and I haven't been able to take it at all for the past 3 years I've been in high school. So I was just thinking about it, possibly starting it to allow those kids and even kids who are enrolled in it at that current moment to be able to take it and still learn the subject. But with sports, I personally didn't really. I used to do soccer for the school, But at that time, I just didn't really feel like it would have conflicted with my schedule. But now, after going through a couple seasons, fall and winter, I know that I can definitely balance adding like a sport into my afternoon schedule, and it's you just gotta be able to, you gotta plan stuff, you gotta have a good you gotta be organized when it comes to this stuff.
I think, Jay, you're personally like a great example because you did what? You did soccer your freshman, sophomore year, and then now in your junior year, you stopped playing. So you had the fall season off, and that probably was a good indication on, like, in terms of balancing your workload, that probably helped. Because you're taking a fairly hard, rigorous course selection, and if you are, sometimes sports can get in the way. Like there's been nights, say I have practice 6 to 8. I'm not done with homework until like 10:30. And by then you're just tired, and a lot of times your work isn't as good as it could be. So sports are, and even jobs, they're a lot to take in. And you really have to, consider when it comes to those, how like necessary is it for you? Like if you're good at a sport, like very good, and could potentially participate in college, then yes, I would 100% recommend you take that. But you also have to really, really consider that you need to make sure that your grades stay up, and you don't want to completely burn yourself out too. That's another problem that many students have. They take so many hard classes. They're heavily invested in sports. They might even have a job on the side. They don't have free time. They don't really have time to do anything else. They're just playing their sports, doing their homework, and then going to bed. And it's not necessarily the best cycle to get yourself into.
Yeah, I'll add on to it too. Obviously I can't play soccer anymore, but during the fall I'm still at every single soccer practice. I help out the coach and do all that type of stuff, and play once in a while. But so for me, I never played any other sports besides soccer my whole life. So pretty much it was soccer and school. But soccer is obviously very, very heavily invested in my life. So even during the spring and fall and winter and all that, I was still playing soccer. So it was more like a 3-season sport for me. But say this year and junior year, this is the big year for me. I'm taking plenty of AP courses, and I'm also trying to keep up with extracurriculars and stuff like that. So say like the fall season for me, I would obviously get out of school at 1 o'clock this year, and then we'd have soccer usually right after school, maybe like 2 o'clock or something like that. And then I'd get home maybe 4:30, and I'd have my homework to do. So obviously, soccer took up 2-3 hours of my day, whether it's traveling and then being at the actual practice or game. But for me, it was almost a benefit to me, even though it was taking up my time. It was taking up time that was useful for me. So during that time, I was laughing, I was having fun, I was playing, I was learning, I was doing all that. And then to kind of compare that to now, it's the winter, and obviously we don't have soccer during high school during the winter. So yes, I have more free time to do my work, but I'm almost not as productive because I don't have that time right after school to kind of rejuvenate my energy and have fun. So it's almost like, yeah, I have more time on my hands now, but during that school sport, it was more of like a mental break, and it kind of like a refreshener for me, having the sport.
So I think the thing that I got out of all of you talking about your schedules is that AP classes essentially make your life into like blocks of time, and it's a very systematic schedule. It's like this, then this, then this, then sleep. And AP classes, they set back your time, and it comes down to what do you value? Are you willing to sacrifice 2 hours of sleep to stay up and do AP homework and take that course? Or are you willing to sacrifice maybe a love for a sport to just take a rigorous course? Are you willing, or is it the other way? Or are you not going to take an AP course because you want to continue, say, doing soccer, baseball, basketball, etc.? And it all just comes down to what is most important to you. Are you willing to make that sacrifice, those sacrifices, and are you mentally strong enough to maintain like a block schedule lifestyle?
So last year, we picked our classes last year before COVID hit. So that was back in like January before the first lockdown. So I actually kind of went through this thought process. I was like, so I talked with my math teacher because I want to major in business and stats is a very important class. So my plan was I take an easier math class my junior year if I'm able to. My teacher said I was, and I would still be able to take AP stats as a senior. So I basically went through that. I was like, I want to do my sports, and it's definitely going to take a lot of time. Having a hard course selection might come in conflict with that. So I had to find a balance, and I think that doing that was very useful for me. I think in general that if you're able to do that and find out kind of what balance is necessary for you, then I think that's beneficial for you as a student and an athlete or whatever you might do outside of school. Okay, so that's going to wrap up our first episode of the Facts for Cat podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Again, John Schultz here with Jack Watson, Jay Surrey, and Mason Gussie.